One morning when I got out of the shower, I was surprised not to see Mr. Umberto in the living room or in the yard. I didn't pay much attention. I thought he had gone out for a while to walk or play. So I went to the bedroom and started to get dressed slowly. While I was getting ready as I usually did, my surprise was when I saw in detail in the mirror that someone was watching me from the closet. So I went to open it. Suddenly, the surprise was that there my father-in-law was with his pants down, holding his device with his hand with a liquid on it. And as if that wasn't enough, my husband came into the room surprisingly, saying that he was already going to work. It was a strange moment when we all talked in the car. The subject wasn't brought up, and so the day passed through my mind with only thoughts of insecurity. If it weren't for my husband being there, I could have been a victim of abuse by that man who said he was my father-in-law. I spent a few days remembering the scene that Vivi told a friend that happened that morning. She suggested that I put some cameras at the entrance to the living room, and that way I would show my husband how that man hides without permission from the room. She told me that if I put it inside the room, my husband could misinterpret the situation. I heard it and decided to install a camera pointing directly at the bedroom door. If it weren't like that, I would never have been able to catch him red-handed. One afternoon he approached me to apologize, saying that he didn't want to cause any inconvenience. I had no choice but to accept Mr. Umberto's apology. As time went by, in the afternoons that I was free from work, he began to be a very helpful man and began to gain my trust. We even shared nice moments. From one moment to the next, I began to see my father-in-law as a very elegant, pleasant and charming mature man. Something mysterious. I felt a slight desire to get to know him better. I felt the need to be a mother. A situation that would be impossible with my husband because of him. I decided to take a careful look at the remaining video records, and I realized that he looked at me with the same pleasure and desire that my husband had lost. And I began to see him with different eyes. I no longer listened to him as an old man. I was aware of the desire that my father-in-law felt for me. I decided one morning to call in sick so as not to go to work. So I told my husband I would wait for him at home in the late afternoon. I knew how much desire my father-in-law felt for me. I decided to take a shower like the time that started it all. When I left, I saw that Mr. Umberto was sitting on the living room furniture. So I convinced him to come with me to the bedroom. The desire was already waking up inside him. I said, "What if, instead of laying your eyes on me, why don't you lay your hands on me? I'm ready for anything with you." The smell of soap, a nice perfume, and the background music were witnessing that romantic morning with my father-in-law. I was so comfortable that morning with Mr. Umberto that I took one day a week to play pranks with him. After a while, I started to feel guilty and sorry for my husband, because after all, he was a great person and a good husband. I didn't know what to do. My life was a maze with no way out. I fell in love with my father-in-law, and I felt a love for my husband. I wanted to run away and forget everything that happened in that house without having to be responsible to anyone. Everything would have been perfect if it hadn't been for that pleasant meeting with my father-in-law. A month went by and I told my father-in-law that I had apparently managed to fulfill my dream of being a mother. But now I didn't know what to do. I told him my plan to leave the house, but he was strongly against the idea. But a few weeks passed. It was impossible to hide the belly. It was starting to grow, and my husband would find out. He had no choice but to kick me out of the house with his father. I was so disappointed that we were the only people he could count on, and we had failed. We had soiled the blankets while he worked hard. For all three of us, I definitely feel terrible guilt. Leave your comment telling me what you thought of this case. If you want to know more stories like this, leave your like and subscribe to the channel for more content.